Have you ever wondered what would happen if the Hashiras and the Upper Moons swapped places inside the Infinity Castle? Will our new Hashira stand any chance against these new Upper Moons? Or would this flip change the entire course of this battle? But first, let's set some simple rules. First, each swapped character keeps the abilities corresponding to their original role. For instance, if Doma had ice-based abilities as an Upper Moon, his swapped Hashira form would likely have an ice breathing style. But since we've already explained their swapped powers in our previous two videos, we won't be covering them again here. So make sure you've watched those videos first. Second, we're only swapping Hashiras and Upper Moons. No one else gets swapped. That means Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and any characters who aren't Hashira remain exactly as they are. Third, only the battles that took place inside the Infinity Castle will be counted. And for the sake of this video, we'll assume the Infinity Castle still exists, even though Nakime isn't Upper Moon in this version. So for starters, we have Upper Moon Shinobu versus Doma, Kanao, and Inosuke. Now, this battle starts with Doma and Shinobu first, just like in the original. And just so you know, Doma is an ice Hashira with ice breathing, while Demon Shinobu has poison manipulation. This means that if they were to fight, the battle would be completely opposite of what we saw in the original. Why? Because Hashira Doma, even with his skill, would be up against a vastly faster, constantly regenerating opponent. His ice breathing is powerful and even gives him an advantage by slowing a demon's regeneration, but it still can't match the overwhelming threat of Shinobu's blood demon art. Upper Moon Shinobu could blitz him before he even had the chance to react. And even if he did land a hit and slow her regeneration, she would still heal far faster than most demons thanks to her being an Upper Moon. But one scratch from her blade or even contact with her poisonous blood would inject demon-enhanced toxin straight into Doma's human body. Remember, Doma's original downfall was poison, and in this reverse scenario, he faces an opponent whose entire arsenal is a supernaturally amplified version of that very poison. That means he has no choice but to stall for time until help arrives. He uses Frozen Mist to hide and defend himself until Kanao and Inosuke show up. Now the real question is, can these three together defeat Upper Moon Shinobu? You see, Inosuke is the team's wild card. His self-taught beast breathing is unpredictable and attacks from bizarre angles. Plus, he possesses a natural resistance to poison, which would allow him to endure glancing blows from Shinobu's attacks that would incapacitate others. But the real MVP here is Kanao. Why? You'll find out soon enough. Now, at first, the team is completely on the defensive. Upper Moon Shinobu's speed is too overwhelming, making it almost impossible for Doma or Inosuke to land a clean hit. This is where the team composition becomes crucial. Inosuke's poison resistance allows him to keep fighting, and his erratic attacks force Shinobu to stay cautious. Doma shifts to a defensive area control role, using ice breathing to create frozen mist, slowing Shinobu's movement and cutting off her angles of attack. The turning point comes when Kanao activates her technique, Equinoctial Vermilion Eye. This ability pushes her superhuman eyesight to its absolute limit, allowing her to perceive the world in slow motion and predict her opponent's movements by observing subtle shifts in their muscles, joints, and even their eyes. With her perception of time drastically heightened, Shinobu's near godlike speed finally becomes manageable, allowing Kanao to synchronize her timing and coordinate her attacks with Doma and Inosuke. And with that said, their coordinated final assault finally brings down Upper Moon Shinobu. On the other side of the battlefield, we have Upper Moon Sanemi Shinazugawa versus Kaigaku and Zenitsu. Now, I know what you're thinking. How are Zenitsu and Kaigaku together? Well, Zenitsu isn't a Hashira, and Kaigaku was an Upper Moon 6 in the original. So, according to the rules, we can have them team up and finally fulfill their master's true wishes at long last. Now, this battle is going to be intense, because this time, as a Hashira, Kaigaku has full mastery over the first form of thunder breathing, along with the rest of the forms he already knows. Well, one small note here. Kaigaku will not have the 7th form, since that was Zenitsu's personally created technique, so he can't have it. Meanwhile, Demon Sanemi has wind and air manipulation abilities. At first, Zenitsu and Kaigaku would rush in with overwhelming overwhelming speed, but they're immediately met with Sanemi's Blood Demon Art, a chaotic vortex of razor-sharp wind currents filling the entire area. This instantly complicates their straightforward, high-speed approach. They can no longer simply dash in without being shredded. Sanemi then intentionally drops his guard, baiting Kaigaku into attacking first. Kaigaku sees an opening and charges in with lightning speed, but he has no idea that Sanemi's blood possesses an intoxicating effect that weakens anyone who comes into contact with it. The moment Kaigaku is hit by even a trace of it, his strength drops and his speed collapses. Now, overcome by the same terror and desperation that once drove him to betray the Demon Slayers, he turns on Zenitsu and tries to run. But before he can escape, Sanemi finishes him with a single strike. Now only Zenitsu remains. Can he defeat Upper Moon Sanemi? After watching his partner fall, betrayal or not, Zenitsu becomes furious and unleashes his 7th form, charging forward with godlike speed that's almost impossible to track. However, Sanemi doesn't need to fully perceive his movements to win. Why? Because his entire body is constantly surrounded by his wind-based blood demon art, combined with his intoxicating blood as well. This means that even if Zenitsu lands a devastating or even decapitating blow, the damage Zenitsu takes in the process would be far more fatal, and Sanemi can simply regenerate afterward. So in this matchup, I think Upper Moon Sanemi takes the win. Next up, Upper Moon Mitsuri and Obanai versus Nakime and Yushiro. Now, this wouldn't really count as a battle. You see, as a Hashira, Nakime's breathing style would likely be spatial breathing, which would allow her to rapidly reposition herself and other Demon Slayers, making it purely a support ability. And on top of that, her actual combat ability is entirely speculative. She has never been shown fighting physically, so it's safe to assume her only real strength would lie in supporting others, rather than engaging in direct combat. As for Yushiro, although he is a demon, he's nowhere near the combat level of an Upper Moon or even a Hashira. His strength also lies solely in his support-based blood demon art, which uses paper talismans to conceal presence, create illusions, and grant enhanced vision of hidden or distant locations. Now, I could explain their battle in detail, but let's be honest, there's simply no way Nakime and Yushiro could take them down, as Hashira, Mitsuri, and Obanai were already far beyond these two, and as Upper Moons with even greater abilities, there's absolutely no chance they lose. So this round goes to Upper Moon Mitsuri and Obanai. Next, we have Upper Moon Gyu Tomioka versus Hashira Akaza and Tanjiro Kamado. Now I know, this is the battle you were all waiting for, so let's see how this plays out. But before that, just so you know, Demon Gyu possesses ice manipulation that he can merge with his water breathing techniques, whereas Hashira Akaza uses Soryu breathing. The fight begins with Gyu establishing his defensive zone to control the battlefield. Unlike Doma's cryokinesis, Gyu's ice does not merely freeze. It flows like water before solidifying instantly. He utilizes a demonified variation of water-breathing 11th form, Dead Calm, expanding its range into a localized domain of absolute zero. Any physical matter entering this radius is instantaneously frozen and shattered. This is a major problem for Akaza, whose Soryu breathing depends on close quarters combat, not to mention Gyu's insane speed, which allows him to pressure both Tanjiro and Akaza at the same time. This is where Akaza uses his human version of Compass Needle. By reading the fighting spirit radiating from Gyu's rage, Akaza gains near-perfect precognition. Even as Gyu performs faster-than-eye movements with constant flux, Akaza's Soryu breathing 4th form Shockwave Barrage deflects the strikes and uses the resulting air pressure to shatter the approaching ice, keeping the absolute zero cold at bay. And if you ask me, Akaza's human durability here is somewhat comparable to Gyome's cannon feats. Now, you might be wondering, where is Tanjiro? Shouldn't he and Akaza be fighting side by side? Well, hold on. While Akaza is keeping Gyu busy, Tanjiro activates the Transparent World. This allows him to see Gyu's muscle contractions and blood flow in real time, helping him predict the expansion of Gyu's Dead Calm ice domain, so he can pinpoint a hidden weakness in the technique. Once he finds it, he signals Akaza, who immediately unleashes Soryu breathing final form, overwhelming the defensive capacity of Gyu's Dead Calm and forcing the demon to focus solely on regeneration and defense. Seizing the millisecond opening where Gyu's ice defense is saturated, Tanjiro charges in with Hinokami Kagura, decapitating Gyu once and for all. That means this round goes to our Demon Slayer. players. And finally, it's time for the final battle, Upper Moon Muichiro and Gyomei versus Kokushibo and Genya. Well, to make this battle even more interesting, we're adding every character who won their previous rounds. That means Sanemi, Mitsuri, and Obanai will join the Upper Moon side, while Doma, Kanao, Inosuke, Akaza, and Tanjiro will join the Hashira side. Here's how the matchups will look: Muichiro versus Kokushibo, Gyomei versus Akaza and Tanjiro, Sanemi versus Genya, Mitsuri versus Doma, and Obanai versus Kanao and Inosuke. Let's start with Muichiro and Kokushibo first. Now, this is yet again an interesting battle to watch because it's a battle within the same bloodline. So, who do you think will win this one? Demon Muichiro with mist manipulation or Hashira Kokushibo with moon breathing? Well, let's find out. The fight begins with Muichiro activating his blood demon art to establish a mist domain. Inside this domain, he can project multiple tangible afterimages and completely disable standard visual tracking, aiming to strike Kokushibo from blind spots with demon-level speed. Against most opponents, this environmental advantage would guarantee a quick win by concealing the demon's true location, but to be honest, it's still not enough. Kokushibo possesses the ultimate counter to visual deception, the transparent world. Since Muichiro's mist illusions don't have internal organs or biological structure, Kokushibo instantly identifies the real Muichiro among the fakes. With that, Kokushibo unleashes moon breathing. Unlike standard breathing forms that follow predictable or linear paths, moon breathing generates chaotic crescent-shaped projectiles whose size, length, and trajectory shift unpredictably. Even if Muichiro retreats deeper into the mist, Kokushibo's wide area slashes blanket the entire battlefield with cutting force. The sheer density of crescent blades leaves Muichiro with no safe zone to dodge. When you combine Kokushibo's Demon Slayer mark with the chaotic brutality of his swordsmanship, Muichiro simply has no viable counter. That means the victory here goes to Kokushibo. On the other side, we have Upper Moon Sanemi versus Genya. Now, if you ask me, this is the worst matchup Genya could possibly get. From the very start, Sanemi surrounds his entire body with his wind-based blood demon art, meaning Genya can't even get close to him. On top of that, Sanemi's aerokinetic attacks create continuous omnidirectional attacks that could completely overwhelm Genya's healing ability. Honestly, Sanemi was already far stronger than Genya even as a human, and now as a demon? Yeah, Genya stands no chance. Sanemi takes this one. Next up, Upper Moon Mitsuri versus Hashira Doma. Alright, these two are also a perfect matchup for this battle. You see, Mitsuri possesses love manipulation, projecting love as a tangible, high-density energy field that inflicts sensory overload and emotional disruption. Combine that with her demonic amplification over already superhuman strength, and she becomes an absolute powerhouse. However, Hashira Doma is a natural hard counter to Mitsuri's psychological abilities. Why? Because he lacks emotion entirely, and that is why he's completely immune to the mind-affecting aspects of her blood demon art. Not only that, by releasing sharp ice slashes, he can counter Mitsuri's flexibility by freezing and stiffening her muscle fibers. This cellular freezing can also pause the metabolic activity required for demonic regeneration. As Mitsuri's healing factor is nullified, Doma exploits the opening to take her down. That means Doma wins this one, but he barely survives, because don't forget, Mitsuri's raw strength was still top tier. Now we have Upper Moon Obanai versus Inosuke and Kanao. As in Upper Moon, Obanai has the ability to create and manipulate shadow soldiers. So as the fight begins, he floods the entire battlefield with these shadow constructs, along with venomous snakes. This environment directly counters Inosuke's spatial awareness. Normally, Inosuke senses tiny disturbances to locate his opponent, but Obanai's shadows act as sensory noise, creating false signals that completely throw off Inosuke's feral instincts. As for Kanao, even she would struggle to track Obanai's movements. She had already pushed her equinoctial vermilion eye to its absolute limit in the previous fight with Shinobu, leaving her vision blurred now. Meanwhile, Obanai, who's practically itching for battle and has near limitless stamina as a demon, can unleash erratic multi-directional attacks at speeds far beyond what he ever had as a human. And remember, even in the original story, he managed to land multiple hits on Muzan and even access the transparent world for a moment, proving just how powerful he was before becoming a demon. That means no matter what Inosuke and Kanao throw at him, Obanai wins this one. Lastly, we have Upper Moon Gyomei versus Akaza and Tanjiro. Now, this fight isn't just between these three anymore. Sanemi and Obanai, having finished their own battles, move in to support Gyomei, while Kokushibo and Doma team up with Akaza and Tanjiro. That means it's 3 Upper Moons versus 4 Demon Slayers, and whoever wins this clash becomes the ultimate winner of the entire scenario. Also, just so you know, Upper Moon Gyomei is one of the strongest among them, possessing the ability to manipulate gravity itself because of his monstrous physical power. Now, as soon as the battle begins, Gyomei activates his Blood Demon Art, Gravitational Crushing. Unlike standard physical attacks, this technique alters the fundamental laws of physics within the battlefield, creating a high gravity zone that suppresses the mobility of the Hashira team. This directly counters Akaza's Soryu breathing, which relies on high-speed movement. Under this crushing gravity, he simply can't react fast enough. At the same time, Sanemi syncs his abilities with Gyomei's gravitational control and unleashes razor-sharp wind cyclones infused with his intoxicating blood. This disrupts the breathing rhythms of Tanjiro and Doma, breaking their focus and weakening the potency of their sun and ice-breathing forms. But the Hashira side isn't out yet, because they have Kokushibo, whose moon breathing is still a threat to the Upper Moons. Kokushibo attempts to break the demon team's formation using wide-range crescent slashes, aiming to slice through Sanemi's windstorms. However, upper rank Obanai immediately steps in. Using his shadow manipulation, he surrounds Kokushibo with multiple shadow clones, preventing his attacks from ever reaching the others. Obanai then summons Kaburamaru, now a massive Hydra-like entity. Kaburamaru floods the entire battlefield with paralyzing venom, forcing Doma to use his ice breathing defensively just to freeze the toxin instead of attacking, effectively removing a major piece of the Hashira team's anti-regeneration support. Now, even if Kokushibo manages to destabilize their formation, he still cannot match Gyomei's demonic strength. Not to mention, as a demon, Gyomei has his sight fully restored and also possesses a sixth sense similar to the transparent world, leaving him with 0 blind spots. And honestly, no matter what the Hashiras and the others throw at him, there's no realistic way they can win. Remember, it was stated in the story that a single top-tier Upper Moon is equal to at least 3 Hashira, and here we have 3 Upper Moons fighting side by side. That means in this scenario, the Upper Moons take the win. But hey, let me know who you think will win this one in the comments down below. Click on this video next, where we made how fast can the strongest anime characters clear the Infinity Castle in Demon Slayer. Go on, check it out.